All right, new video. Back, tooth's finally feeling better, and starting to heal up. So this will be a short, sweet one today. It's still kind of rough to talk, but yeah, just saw in the news these past few days that obviously, we all know, the tariffs have been struck down by the Supreme Court. In a 6-3 ruling, basically stating that Trump does not have the authority to implement tariffs on a mass scale like he has done under the IEEPA. I believe those are the initials. But essentially what it entails is that, Trump cannot, under the guise of the kind of emergency he's been trying to execute these tariffs under, be able to do so without the authority of Congress. It's basically what it comes down to. And, obviously, this news was well received by the market. We saw on Friday, stocks rose a couple hundred points. So that was cool. But Trump, not much longer after, decided to take new measures under authority he does have. Again, we'll see how that plays out, to implement global tariffs at a rate of like 10 to 15%. The number keeps changing, so I don't know where it'll be at, in the next few days, couple weeks, who knows at this point. But, we are definitely in this place where it just seems like the administration is ready to do whatever's required to keep tariffs applied. And unfortunately, as we know, tariffs are a tax on imports, which the importing country winds up paying, which means that things will continue to be more expensive for American consumers, unnecessarily so, for who knows how long. These new tariffs are supposed to last only for 150 days, after which, continuing to impose those afterwards will require approval from Congress. And so while it may seem like relief in some respects, that relief might be just slightly felt, are really just temporary, in my opinion, until we see where we're at 6 months from now. But all things said, in my opinion, the ball just keeps rolling. The tariffs are here to stay, and we'll see what comes out of this. The thing I am most interested in is seeing how other countries that, we've started to make these deals with are impacted by this news. I saw the EU and India, for example, are delaying talks. I don't know if China is yet, but we'll see exactly what all of that entails, because as we now see today, for example, in the market, the Dow Jones is down another 700 plus points or so. And, hopefully, we're not entering trade war 2.0. I think that, in my personal view, our economy is in a very delicate state between, tackling inflation, jobs being roughly flat, and along with jobs as well, what's also concerning is inside of these reports that show that most of the growth is happening in the healthcare sector specifically, and some in private education, and not really anywhere else in the economy. And I think that's something very important we have to start keeping an eye on, in my view. And then, of course, we also have AI as well to consider, right? And how that's affecting the marketplace. Because as we see now, for example, there's the term SaaSpocalypse that's going around, basically just highlighting that the threat of AI seems to be very real when it comes to software, especially if, for example, a lot of the deep tech that goes into developing these different SaaS products now just becomes either more accessible by the companies who spend, hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars a year on SaaS, now being potentially given the opportunity to develop a lot of those things for a fraction of the cost, right? Thanks to AI. I think that's something that's very important to consider, right? And just also the fact that, AI in general, if things play out right, the whole threat regarding removing more people from their jobs, specifically white collar workers from their jobs, well, then how does that affect the economy as well, right? Because, if AI does continue to, well, I guess I would say, like, if it does happen to where AI starts to really replace a lot of workers and so on, and those workers either have harder time finding work or start getting paid less, well, then that means they have less money to spend at different businesses, which then means those businesses, right, get under margin pressure, which then means they have to charge lesser prices to compete for the little money that people do have, which obviously would usher in inflation. So, all that to be said, yeah, things are just chaotic right now. Now, on top of that, what I will say is I do think there is some opportunity in all of this, in terms of the investing side of things. And namely right now, what I'm keeping an eye on is international equities due to a declining dollar and cheaper imports, right, for other countries. Gold, something else I'm keeping an eye on just because of the geopolitical uncertainty that's going on. And so, and obviously, still some in domestic as well. So currently, for example, I'm at roughly like 80% US equities and then some in international. So nothing crazy there, but yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities that are going to come open this year in that regard. But obviously we'll see. But with all that said, I'm curious to see how this trade war scenario plays out. The market doesn't really seem like it has much of an additional appetite for uncertainty. And I think that's going to wind up creating some serious volatility as we start to navigate new trade deals, a fluctuating currency, the whole SaaS apocalypse, right? And probably other things to come that I'm not even thinking of. But so yeah, those are my thoughts for today. Glad to be back. Tooth is still healing from the surgery, but just want to start getting back in the routine of things. So that's all I have for today. Until next time, peace.